Welcome back to Refrain Chord. So now that the game is done with its side stuff, we can hopefully get to Rinne. You'll see what Rinne is. That's the name of the child that we saw earlier.
Question: Is side quest stuff, blocked off in the sense that if you don't do it at a certain point in the story, you can never do it again?
No. You can always go back and do everything.
Okay, then I guess to the game's credit, by the way, we're doing this playthrough, yeah, but I guess I can't fault it too much for having this much side content. Again, I just wish it was better, but,
I think it's more so, let me put it this way, Jova. The skits in the original game, for as bad as they could get, they were at the very least brief. Whereas I feel like while the skits in this game are better, like you said, they don't have the lows of the original game, they make up for it for being longer than they need to be, in my opinion. They go on for so long.
I will say, I wouldn't say all the skits in the original were brief, but I will say I do feel like each skit felt like it fit its particular length well. Oh, hey there, little boy. Who's totally not a lab science project from Sephiroth wannabe.
Jova, remember our FIFA 19 playthrough? It's that brother of Danny Williams that was the Sephiroth product.
I mean,
I understand your point, thing, but you could phrase it better.
But,
yeah, let Sherman do the talking, please. Oh.
Dorfa, more like.
that is a boy, right?
It's actually a girl. Don't worry.
Catchers don't know yet.
Yeah, don't worry, Jova. The quote-unquote twist that she's a girl doesn't really matter. Trust me, spoiling it doesn't really matter. I assure you.
I'll admit, I initially thought boy, but knowing that her name is Rinne is like, isn't that kind of a giveaway she's a girl?
Mm-hmm.
Since Rinne tends to be a female name over in Japan.
And trust me, the way they go about doing the "you're a girl" bit is very cringy, but you'll see.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Ding.
I mean, the fact that you're working for Dorfa is not the best sign. Although, granted, Harley used to work for Dorfa, so...
Remember,
probably end up being a friend of ours.
No, well, think about this, Jeff. It's not really hard to come. Like knowing Dorfa, this child was probably thrown into this against her will.
Of course, she calls her fairy niece.
So basically, her twin brother is her fairy.
How does that work?
Well, Jova, you yourself already guessed that they're a Dorfa subject, Dorfa research product subject. Oh, there you go. The game itself will explain it later anyway. So
I think I get it. Dorfa is turning people into fairies. The fiend.
Very good. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's not like there's much difference between both of them. Like, Lane becoming a fairy doesn't really seem to have magically changed anything for him.
Okay, I do get Al's confusion though, in that
siblings should not have one of them become the fairy of the other. That's what their point.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, that implies that people mate with fairies, which, to be fair, the fact that we can't.
Or again, they're experimenting on, well, as it showcased here, very young
children. Which you might remember, Jova. There's one particular character that works at Dorfa that clearly should be feeling outrageously indignated about this.
Aside from Zenke, everyone else seemed to be very uncomfortable. So...
He's talking about Mariana, giving them the kids.
Both her and Apollonius did not, and also Paiga did not seem particularly happy about that, though.
Let's just say... Sure, that is true. That being said, let's just say I have a problem with the execution of said elements that we just discussed. But we'll get to it when we actually get to it.
I will say this though, in terms of them actually doing it, they probably did it behind her back, just like they do the whole bring the kids to shield her against
actually, Jova, no.
like they did in the original game.
That I can tell you, Jova, no. Everything that was done to Rinne and Rinne was done entirely with Mariana's knowledge. Mariana knew exactly what was going on. Nothing was hidden for her. That I can tell you.
I guess same for Apollonius.
No. Apollonius is also new. You don't worry, we'll actually be able to see for ourselves in more detail anyway, so you can look forward to that.
Okay. Let me see if I can recall the routes properly, because I know Mariana stayed a bad guy in the original route, and she becomes the main antagonist in the Dark God route.
Vile God route, yeah.
Vile God route, yeah. Okay, I'm trying to remember. Was it only clear that she cared for kids in the Evil Goddess route?
No, she was always the orphanage owner in every route. She always had the whole child thing.
Oh, I know that she was the orphanage owner. I'm just trying to recall if it was only the Evil Goddess route where it was confirmed that she actually cared.
Oh wait, actually, no, you're right. Actually, now that I'm actually, you just reminded me of something, Joe. But yes, very good. In the Goddess route. Where they go with it is, remember, they actually have a twist where it turns out Mariana was only doing it for nefarious purposes and it was all an act, but it was then in Advent Dark Force when they added the extra routes that they changed it so that no, turns out she actually does care about the children. Because I'm guessing when they got around to revising the plot for Advent Dark Force, they thought that making Mariana such a complete, heartless, soulless cunt in the Goddess route was a bit too much. Maybe, I don't know.
All right. Now jog my memory. While I know her degrees of evilness or good vary in each run, is it in every run that we see that she's astonished and appalled that the kids were brought as a shield for her?
I didn't even remember that.
I actually remember what Jova's talking about, but I don't remember the details because it's been a while.
I'm trying to remember if that was in every route or if that
No, I can tell you that. It was only in the Goddess route. That plot point that you're thinking of, I remember that was Goddess route, but I don't remember the exact specific dialogue that was said in that scene. So I will have to go back and rewatch it.
So giving this the benefit of the doubt, we would say that, it's only in the Goddess route and the Evil Goddess route where it's confirmed Mariana cares about the kids. Like, okay, maybe messing with the time stream causes this butterfly effect thingamajig or whatnot. Like, okay, if I am to give some benefit of a doubt, Advent Dark Force has shown that, based off of the time stream, characters can act a bit different. Like, Sherman actually becomes a relatively nice guy in the Vile God route, but in the Evil Goddess route, he is full-on working with Dorfa.
Well, not so much Dorfa. In the Evil Goddess route is working with Junon, remember? Because Dorfa's not a thing. Right? Dorfa's not a thing in the Evil Goddess route.
Mix up with Dorfa and the Evil Goddess.
Don't worry, Jova. Well, Jova, can we really blame you? Because Junon is she's such a nothing villain. She has no.
What are you talking about, Pedro? It was such a smart plan to
she does manage to accomplish something more than Bernard, I suppose.
Is that really a feat worthy of applause, considering how nothing Bernard accomplishes in the original game?
Well, on that level, Bernard is technically a more nothing villain than her.
Oh yeah, he is. But being being more of a nothing villain than Bernard is not really something worthy of applause.
What I'm saying is that I think two ways to measure.
Hey, cameraman, you're only showing my hair.
Yeah. Okay.
It's happened constantly.
I will agree with Tio that I do think Junon...
Wanna see where this goes.
Feng...
You calling someone else a jerk, that's rich.
Not just that, Dibs. He's telling that to a child. Like... What?
I mean... admittedly, as far as they know, a child who is evil, but yeah.
I have to report this to the police. Attacking a child? How could you? And also, why are they talking like they're robots?
Again, I assume brainwashed.
The game will actually attempt to justify that later when we see their backstory. But not to mention, they also, I guess, we're also supposed to assume that the experiments that were done on them.
No.
Oh my God! Now she wants to molest a child. Jesus Christ!
Harley, Aaron and Lola look young, but these are actual children. Yes, thank you, Bahas. Run away, children! You might actually be safer with Dorfa, the actual bad guys, than with Harley.
How sad is that?
Christ.
Yes,
Dorfa, the corporation that literally experiments on children, treats children better than Harley.
See, this is exactly that's a good point. That's a good way for me to talk about this game. The fact that Jova is telling that the children are better off with the Shira equivalent than the actual party. You have when Jova says something like that, you have a problem, game.
I mean, you know, when you get down to it, yeah, a lot of the cast have problems, but then you have Harley, who is like a whole black hole of bad implications the more you really dive into it.
It's so weird because that's all her character is. That's all they do with her. Yeah, the research thing, the researcher part of her character is barely used. Go on.
You want to say something to you?
Well, I can wait.
Okay.
I think I quit. This is bullshit.
Yeah, why me?
Because bananas.
Okay, Mrs. Know-It-All.
Because cheese.
Spoken like a true politician, Tiara.
You're full of Tiara, you're so full of shit, you're about to burst.
Isn't she basically... Wasn't she implying about the Vow God, though?
Well, yeah, she was kinda implying about the Vow God blood thing, but again, she doesn't want to reveal it. Don't worry, Tay, we'll get the reveal later.
Because the game was treating like, you know, she instead was just winging it and not saying it, not knowing what to say.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, okay, now I got it. They're doing this thing where, she's pretending to be able to know everything to explain it, but she doesn't actually know it, so she's throwing Sherman the hot potato of having to explain it, basically.
Oh, what a bad time for a glitch.
Actually, it was because our party was overpowered.
Give the bad guys some hope that they can beat us. Outside of cutscenes.
That's a thing too. Like, much like the, for people like us who played Final Fantasy Tactics, trust me, this thing is kindergarten play. Like, you can very easily get through this game. It's not hard.
Well, I guess the kids seem to like Bernard, despite him experimenting on them. Again, I wonder if brainwashing
I'm gonna call it either brainwashing or submission, which neither of them is really good. I know that, we just had the scene of Harley being worse, but,
Wait a minute. Brainwashing kids? Jesus Christ, he is taking from Sephiroth's playbook.
He's got... It's like he's like Kylo Ren out of Star Wars, him trying to be literally tried to be the guy he idolizes and even kind of looks similar to him.
Yeah.
Except I think even Kylo Ren has more character than this guy.
The original it's very clear the original Fairfence RF was meant to try to draw in Final Fantasy fans in a low-key manner by getting Amano to do the logo, by getting Uematsu to do 2 tracks, by they told Tsunako to make a Sephiroth lookalike. It's clear
Did they
that
also get Yamano to make the evil goddess design too?
yes, the evil goddess design, yeah. And if you go, like I said, if you go back,
7, please.
yes, and like I said, if you go back to the original trailers of the original PS3 release, the marketing they mention Amano and Uematsu a lot, even though they barely did anything.
Guys, we involve the work of these famous men in the industry.
They didn't do much, but they participated technically.
Hey, we didn't say how much they did.
You know, I think this is only topped by that one movie I always see people tout around. The one that, and I quote, is put as, from a producer who saw Shrek.
Yeah.
That is the actual tagline. Yes, from a producer who saw Shrek. Truly a marketable and fashionable of the times movie classic.
Yeah, I saw Shrek, so it wasn't hoodwinked by any chance, was it?
Yeah, I also saw Shrek. Where's my paycheck to make a movie?
And then there was that Norma the Norse sequel that boasted that it had from a writer of Toy Story.
I think I saw Shrek in the cinema. Yes, I think I did. So I should be getting millions of dollars to fund my own project.
I only saw the first one on VHS, but I did see the second one in theaters.
Yeah, I think that was the case for me too.
Pedro, they said the producer that saw Shrek, not saw Shrek 2.
Wait, but I saw Shrek 1 on VHS, doesn't that count?
No, but I saw it in cinemas, so I outrank you.
Okay. Well, in that case, well, how about this, Dwebs? Maybe we can have how about we can have a credit from the producer who saw Onward? And since the two of us watched, one of the few people who watched Onward in theaters, the two of us rank high on that.
Oh no.
Exactly.
Things rubbing off on Erin. Now she's just as hungry.
Well, yeah, to be fair, this was also a thing in the original game. They do that thing where they establish in the first game that the more Fencer and the Fairy spend time together, usually they start to become more similar in behavior. There are exceptions, like, of course, Bajos and Harley, thank God. But, yeah.
I will say, this is an interesting idea. The fact that the evil corporation have found a way to
actually doing human
make
experimentation.
fairies.
Yeah.
Not only that, but a way to produce their own fairies, which could allow them to essentially game the system. You know, I'll give it credit. It's a unique plot for this particular world.
Not that.
And when everyone's a fairy, no one will be. Eh?
Well,
Yes, we saw that when we fought them. Math.
妖精のデラの方に何かやって実験は成功したって聞いとるけどな。
つまり妖精に何らかの処置を施すことで融合係数を上げる。
Yeah, that's what I just said.
でも人を妖精に変える技術は別次元のレベルだよ。何百歩も先の技術だ。
Is it real?
I'm surprised, Harley. I'm surprised you're not jumping all over this. More fairies for you to do.
look, Dwibs, I'll
Whatever it is
take any
you do.
chance while I can get to have Harley actually speak like a human being.
I guess the idea is that this is such a perversion of nature that it spooks even Harley.
Yeah.
Also, again, we were talking about her being a researcher. I guess, you know, that part of her actually takes over for it.
I guess it's just that I wish the game would actually do more with her researcher aspect, because yes, there's the occasional moment where they did that whole thing where she created that thing that allowed us to go into inside the file god. So they do occasionally bring up her researcher aspect when it's convenient for the plot, right? But most of the time they don't do anything with it. It's just her being a creep.
So I'm guessing the idea is that they're combining Glace's muse power with the technology of Dorfa to essentially create a formula or something. Eh?
Yeah, I was about to say, like, Fang only now asking what is actually a fairy?
A recap
Well-
for anyone who hasn't played the original game, I guess.
That, and to Fang's credit, yeah, that's a good question actually. What is a fairy? Because fairies, as we've learned throughout the series, fairies can be basically anything. There's no actual,
Sometimes
there's no,
fairies can look even...
like it's one thing when we talk about, say, Pippin species. Pippin species has a specific shape of how that is meant to be resembling of the Pippin pillows from Japan. That I get. There's an actual pattern to how that species works. With fairies can. It seems like there's no rules to how fairies are and what they are.
The game itself, it's not really explained that, but I always assumed it was a case of beings who ascended eventually to a higher, time of place of existence, and either, blessed by either the goddess or the vile god.
Oh no, that they explain to. But I think Teo's talking more about what makes a fairy a fairy. Like, what do they look like? What are the physical elements that make a fairy a fairy? I feel like that's what he's asking.
Well, okay. Appearance-wise, like we said, we can be anything because their original body is what actually makes them. But I thought, consistency-wise, they are basically beings of energy.
Mm-hmm. I guess.
They can teleport to shrink inside the weapon, morph with their compatibility human, so yeah.
じゃあ逆に聞くけど、あんたはどうやってこの世界に生まれたの？
Aaron, now is not the time to be getting philosophical.
No, I think it's a good time because at the very least it elevates a bit the writing.
Well, she's actually going somewhere at this, Jova, so hold on.
Okay. Actually, I'll give him credit.
There you go. She's saying that. Well, see, do you remember how you came into this world? Do you remember how you learned to talk? Well, there you go. You don't. Neither do we. There you go. That's basically it.
I'll give him credit, even though it amounts to what we don't know. It's actually
some look like insects, some look like fish. So yeah, there's no consistency to what exactly fairies are when you get right down to it.
It's like defining a monster for Yu-Gi-Oh. They can be literally anything.
I will give it credit, even though the answer seems to amount to, well, we don't know. So what about you?
It's kind of like
mysterious ways.
Oh, sorry.
It seems to be a
serious ways.
Not you.
Please don't molest the fairies, Arlie.
Okay, to her credit, she's just saying that they're mystical beings. She's
yes, but we all know where
talking about
that is true, Joe. But we all know where this road leads. We all know where this road leads, don't we?
I mean, just saying.
I would like to believe we can rehabilitate her.
Jova, it's too far.
There's no hope.
There is no hope. She's unsalvageable. There you go. See?
But
yeah.
she's so.
Yeah, that's the thing that I wanted to say before. Again, if the joke was that she got reprimanded by the entire party, potentially with a classic wash basin dropping on their head type of gag. Honestly, it would be a bit better because at the very least, she doesn't go through it. She get punished. But it's only Bahus who consistently, reprehend her. And it's more of a case of, oh, Arlie, you little scam.
Yeah, she always had something similar about that in our original playthrough. Yes, they technically do call her out on it sometimes, but they still don't do anything about it, so they're complacent.
Like, again.
I can imagine someone like Fang not giving a single shit, I get it, but Sherman should have some standards.
Yeah.
And the thing is, okay, maybe in the time of Advent Dark Force, anime was still in that period where women tended to be a lot more immune to slapstick than the men, but I'm sorry, by the time of Refrain Chord, surely we're at a point where, the writers would be wise enough to have, at the very least, like Tio mentioned,
Pedro
at the very
was
least...
tempted to skip immediately.
I was. But let's read this. Hey, you're a good singer, right? Would you let me learn to sing? I want to learn Doku Toku. A good singer?
Don't worry, Pedro. Unlike Harley, Flair's good with kids.
I don't know about that, but I certainly like to sing. Would you mind singing for me so I can hear? Okay, sure. Wow, 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 yeah, go, what? Ha, ha, ha. That's not singing, that's laughing.
It's
what?
like that gag from SpongeBob where Mr. Krabs is trying to say the song via the phone.
Well, that's one way to do it. And that's it, that's the skit.
Brilliant.
Pedro, earlier you were saying the skits last too long.
So. These ones are brief, yes, because they didn't change how these work, but the ones in the end, though, geesh. Alright, we already know how this goes. This is copy-pasted dialogue. Let's move on.
Anyway, what was I talking about before we went to that skit?
You were talking about how in Advent Dark Force it was a time when maybe women were not living the slapstick, but this is a 2023 game.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry, but by the time Refrain Chord came out, we are definitely seeing a lot more equal opportunity slapstick in anime, thank goodness, and women more often being called out for their own BS. Thank you, 100 Girlfriends. But, I mean, seriously, I don't think it would be too much outside the realm of possibility to have Harley see the consequences of her actions more often than not.
Mm-hmm.
Is it really?
そうなんだ。だから私の話など全くもって意味のない愚痴のようなものだ。妖精研究家として
There, Harley. Think about it like this. You broke the national record for how long it usually takes for research to become obsolete.
And it's gone, Dorfa.
You jinxed
No.
it. You jinxed it. Yeah,
I swear.
yeah. I'm sorry, Ryder. Let me just say this, Joe. Yeah, Mr. Ryder. Sorry, Bajo's occasional "please ignore" quote. That's not enough. That's not enough karma at all. If you think that's enough karma, it's not. Go on.
Like, hell, beat her with a fan like you see people do for discipline at least.
Again, this would be again, like Jova said earlier, if this was handled the way Master Roshi's antics are handled, where she never actually succeeds at doing anything bad and always gets beaten up for it, that would be fine. That would be the writer illustrating, no, you should not do this kind of behavior. But no, the writer just allows this thing to go on, and we're supposed to think that's funny.
似ているようで全然違いますよ。本来フェンサーとは相性の合う妖精と出会うことで
I guess this is again recap for those who are playing this as their introduction to the series, I guess.
確かにそうだね。意図的にフェンサーになろうとしてもそれはほとんど
Is it? I've been able to find plenty of fairies in both of these games.
Well,
Okay, to be fair, they're talking
one,
about
as we say.
compatible ones.
I
And
guess,
to be fair,
yeah.
the theories that we find are like, I think in lore
And
they
the
essentially
problem
only-
apparently is that, Dorfa's artificial experiment allow them to bypass this thing. Allow it to do everything. Again, this is why the twins being fairy and fencer, just feels very odd because it's not something that should have happened.
思い出してください。リンネの妖精のことを。
Yeah, the idea seems to be that the Furies we collect in story just enhance our weapons further, but our actual weapons are the proper compatible Furies.
もともと相性の良さそうな人たち。
Splendid, brother.
That's actually not a terrible idea. I mean, obviously it's a terrible
Oh no!
idea, but I see
Oh no! No! I get what you're saying. I mean, I don't have a problem with the concept of of scientifically created fairies. Whatever, that's fine. Science was already a thing in the original game, so this is not really a stretch. I will tell you this though: the game doesn't really do much with this concept. In fact, in fact, by the time we get to the climax, the concept is basically abandoned. And the plot becomes about something else, basically.
But yeah, it looks like... I wonder if this means we'll get mooks that, are essentially humans with artificial fairies. Or are Rinne and her brother the only version of this we see?
Very good, Joe, but yes. There's technically going to be more, but they're always off-screen and we don't see them. So... That's why I said they don't really do much with this concept. Like, suppose they establish verbally that that Dorfa has an army, is going to get amass an army of artificial fencers, but these quote-unquote army, we never see it on screen, we never see it do anything, it's just mentioned occasionally.
So, you've mentioned that this game has two routes. I'm curious, is the diversion point between the two routes similar to where the diversion point for the free routes in Advent Dark Force is?
No, well, I guess technically, it's in Chapter 15. In Chapter 15 we're going to get that one dialogue with Lola where we have a choice, and that's what dictates the route. which again is so random. Like I said, the way you picked routes in the original game made.
You just said that.
What?
Fang, you just said the same thing twice.
Oh, redundancy. Anyway, to turn someone into a fairy. Yes. How do you turn someone into a fairy?
フューリーを持った時に力が流れ込んでくる感覚があるだろう。
Okay.
それの源になろうというんだ。おそらく対象者は一定期間力をずっとマックスで与え続けられる。
You know, that sounds like ejaculation in a dirty sense.
Unlimited power.
想像するだけでもえぐいわ。まるで拷問やないか。
That's because it is Galdo.
やっぱ簡単には
Oh, villainous.
リンネとお兄ちゃん、自分たちが望んでフェンサーと妖精になったのかも。
Well, Aaron, knowing Dorfa, what do you think?
だから受け入れたのだとしても、胸が痛くなりますわね。
妖精になることはかわいそうなこと。必ずしも
Oh?
Well, remember, Al is a fairy, so.
妖精になって幸せを
Well,
感じる人も
Yeah, it sounds like he's talking specifically about the process of becoming a fairy, though.
妖精であることは不幸だと言いたかったわけではなくて、
Okay, there we go.
ちょっと意地悪でしたかね。大丈夫。ティアラさんの言いたいことはちゃんと分かっていますよ。
何にせよ、俺らがあれこれ考えてもわかんねえか。なら、次会った時に聞いてみりゃいい。
I'm sure they'll answer us nicely.
Absolutely.
Actually, they will.
Hi, Lola.
Well, that does seem to be their thing, that they are very polite even when trying to kill us.
Alright, Lola, so do you have any info about a fairy and a fencer twins?
聞いたことはないか。
No. 今のところ
Fuck off.
調べたらその情報買ってくれる？
Well, that depends on if you have it.
それなら
What is $1, Lola?
What a pile of coins
No, again,
rolled up into one piece of
if you
paper.
have the in-universe currency, why do you refer at these, way of saying them pop cultural stuff that really doesn't match that? Like, again, when Final Fantasy games use those things, they actually use the word gil because that's their currency,
Yeah. Anyway, Sherman is contesting Fang's decision because we should prioritize our main quest for collecting Furies over the twins.
Right, yeah, we got the whole vile god and goddess.
And remember, regardless of what Dorfa is doing, Glace is actually getting an advantage in collecting them, so we need to speed up.
This really does feel like... Okay, honestly, take out the gameplay, replace it with gameplay from Advent Dark Force. These routes really do feel like they could have been DLC for Advent Dark Force. And you know what? I don't necessarily mean that in a bad sense. I mean it in the sense that, to the game's credit, it is very consistent with the overall tone and feel of Advent Dark Force, so...
For better or
yeah,
worse.
it definitely feels... Yeah, for better or worse. So, I guess at the very least, despite it being a different team, they do seem to...
Well, they were probably given a series Bible that they had to adhere to, probably.
And I'm
Alright,
gonna
where
the
to?
fact that I can feel the personality, even, looking at it via what I assume is the Japanese script translated.
I can still tell.
Yes.
I can still tell that it's a different team, though. I can still tell.
Gameplay wise or story wise?
I can story wise. I can still tell it's a different team because, like we've said, some of the more there's a distinct downplaying, even though it's still there, of the more obnoxiously annoying and terrible humor.
You can say Harley.
Well, not just Harley. Like, for example, remember...
Fair enough.
Like, aside from the beginning bit about, physical abuse, Fang so far is being just occasionally stupid, but nothing more.
Yeah, like, even, I mean, despite me not liking how they handled the whole thing with Aaron at the beginning, to their credit, Fang is not necessarily getting on my nerves as much. And Sherman, of course, is actually behaving more like a rational human being compared to how he did in the original game. So I can tell that this is a different writer still. I can tell that there's some nuanced differences, even though it may seem the same on a superficial level.
Like I mentioned, like, even though Harley is still the worst, she is incredibly restrained compared to how she was in the original game. Well, you see, Sherman, you have blue trim, he has red trim, you got the blue and red Oni thing going.
Wait a minute. What do you mean you have nothing else to do? You were lecturing Fang about how we should get back to collecting Furies because time is of the essence. What do you mean you have nothing else to do?
At the moment, I see maybe the present day that they're having is one where they actually have to rest.
I guess.
The next day.
I guess it's just that this coming in right after that scene is so jarring. I just wish the structure of the skits and the main plot was better paced and the skits better placed.
To be fair, from what you told me though, you can do that skit like at any time.
I can, yeah, but I mean, usually I just do them when they become available because that's like the first instant you have as a gamer, right?
I guess my thing is, I go again, I'm willing to give side quests a bit of a pass,
Sure.
Unless they are directly tied to a bit from the main story. If they can happen at like any point in the plot, I'd say that they're not adhered to be the most serious.
I mean, look at Ni no Kuni 2 side quests, for example. If you go look at the Ni no Kuni 2 side quests, every time you get them, they're always only available at specific points in the game. Each individual side quest is always only available at a specific point in the main story, and the writing always makes perfect sense with what's going on at the precise moment in the main story.
Well, to Ni no Kuni 2's credit, yeah, that's a different case though, because the side quests are only available at that specific point, whereas these could technically be played anywhere. So, arguably, if you do this at a different point in the game, it wouldn't feel as bad.
I get your points, but let me correct myself. What I mean is that they unlock at a specific moment in the story, and they stay available until the end of the game. Until forever. So it's like in this game, basically. Thing is, I will argue Ni no Kuni 2 does a better job of having the side quests mesh perfectly with what's going on in the main story at any time.
Okay, that's a more fair thing. Like I said, I won't hold tone of side quests not always matching with a specific point of the main story. Because to be fair, side quests are often made with the idea that you can do them at almost any point in
I have two things to point out about this skit. First off, Sherman, I thought you were supposed to be proper and everything. Why are you stalking Fang? Remember, he said, I'm gonna follow him because I have nothing better to do. So you're stalking him. I thought you were above this kind of shit, Sherman.
He basically wants to take a walk in Fang's shoes, see his routine, essentially.
Well, you could ask his permission for doing that, instead of just stalking him like a creep. Just saying, but whatever.
Honestly, couldn't we say that about, a lot of characters?
Well, yeah.
Good characters?
Well, yeah, obviously. But remember, Sherman is always, chastising Fang for being
There's something that we learned already from a previous kid, which I guess it's a good thing that they teach us something too, is that despite trying to maintain an image, Sherman has insecurities and weaknesses, and he's present with the other party members as him studying them to see what they can complete for him.
That being said, to this kid's credit, I do like this final point they make in a moment. Oh, never mind. Am I thinking of a different skit?
What's the final point you were thinking of?
No. I think.
There are no points, Jova.
although to be
hold on, keep talking. I'll go back on the video in a moment. Go ahead, keep talking.
Although to recap, again,
I know. Go ahead.
Okay. And to recap, I do like how skits like these do show Sherman's more better side here, and they actually, for all the stuff that does feel weird, Sherman's brighter side does feel natural. These were bits that we didn't get to see him often in the Avid Dark Force playthrough because he was often stoic. God route where he becomes the protagonist for half of it, essentially.
Indeed.
So,
go on.
Yeah, again, not all the skits are remarkable masterpieces, but again, they do their job of expanding on the characters. For better or for worse, but I digress.
Okay, here, this is indeed the skit that I was talking about. Allow me to recap what they said. Basically, Sherman was talking about how he didn't really understand how he lives his life. So I was watching him to see, like, I mean, how do you live a life? Because your way of lifestyle is so weird to me compared to mine. And Feng says, look, everyone's preferences are different, okay? It's not like big mouths like me are the only folks who have friends. I bet because Sherman was wondering how someone like Feng was able to amass such a large group and keep them together as a unit, right? And he said, and Feng says, I bet some people even prefer hanging out with guys like you. I'm me, you're you. It's that simple. And he says, I see. Quite a simple answer, but perhaps he's right. So that's okay, fine. Okay, point for one good moment, game.
Alright then, see ya.
See ya. Ta-ta.